Paul McCartney finally breaks silence about George Harrison. For decades, the world has celebrated the Beatles as the greatest band in history. But behind the music was a far more complicated story. Paul McCartney and George Harrison were more than bandmates. They were friends, brothers, and at times, quiet rivals. Their bond carried loyalty and laughter, but also years of tension, silence, and regret. And when George's life was cut short, Paul was left with memories of both harmony and heartbreak. Their story began long before Beatlemania. Paul McCartney and George Harrison first crossed paths as schoolboys in Liverpool in the mid-1950s. Paul, confident and already obsessed with music, noticed the younger, quieter George on bus rides into the city. They bonded not over schoolwork, but over guitars and the electrifying sound of American rock and roll. Inspired by artists like Elvis Presley and the raw energy coming across the Atlantic, they dreamed of forming bands of their own. When Paul joined John Lennon's skiffle group, the Quarrymen, he pushed for George to audition. Lennon was skeptical at first, thinking George looked too young. But one impressive performance changed his mind, and soon the core that would become the Beatles was in place. In those early years, Paul acted as a mentor, encouraging George and sharpening his skills. They were teenagers with guitars and impossible dreams, bound by ambition and shared loss. As the 1960s unfolded and the Beatles conquered the world, the dynamic shifted. Paul became increasingly dominant in the studio, especially during ambitious projects like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. George, meanwhile, was growing as a songwriter but often found his contributions sidelined. His deeply personal composition, Within You Without You, reflected his spiritual awakening, yet it stood apart from the band's mainstream direction. By 1969, tensions were impossible to ignore. During the filming of Let It Be, cameras captured George's frustration with Paul's controlling style. At one point, George famously told him he would play whatever Paul wanted, or nothing at all. Shortly after, George temporarily walked out of the band. Though he returned, the cracks were permanent. He had already written powerful songs like All Things Must Pass, material that would later prove just how much he had been underestimated. Ironically, it was on Abbey Road that George finally stood shoulder to shoulder with his bandmates. Here Comes the Sun and Something became two of the album's defining tracks. Even Frank Sinatra would later praise Something as one of the greatest love songs ever written. For George, it was validation. For Paul, it was a realization that the quiet Beatle had fully come into his own. After the breakup, George released the monumental triple album All Things Must Pass, proving his creative depth to the world. Paul launched his own solo career and later Wings. Their rivalry lingered through the 1970s, marked by cool interviews and missed opportunities. Yet beneath the tension, the shared history of Liverpool never disappeared. In the 1990s, time softened old wounds. Paul, George, and Ringo reunited to complete unfinished demos by John Lennon, resulting in songs like Free as a Bird. Even then, disagreements surfaced, but they worked through them. Age had brought perspective. When George was diagnosed with cancer and later survived a violent attack at his home, Paul visited him often. In one of their final meetings in a New York hospital, they joked and held hands, a simple gesture that spoke volumes about forgiveness. On November 29, 2001, George Harrison passed away at 58. Paul later called him his little baby brother, his voice heavy with emotion. Today, Paul often speaks of a tree George once gave him, planted near his home. Every time he passes it, he quietly says hello. It is his way of keeping that bond alive. Their story is not just about fame or rivalry. It is about friendship tested by success, about pride and reconciliation, and about a brotherhood that endured beyond the final curtain. What's your favorite George Harrison song? And do you believe his best work stands alongside Paul and John's greatest creations? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you love timeless music stories like this, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Golden Age Chronicles, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter from music history.